Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever it may be for you. I am Wyatt with Rise and Renew Recovery. This is a channel that is devoted towards talking all things recovery because addiction does not discriminate, but recovery is possible for anyone who wants it and is willing to work at it. Today I want to go ahead and I want to discuss self-esteem, low self-esteem, because I think it's something that a lot of addicts that are new to sobriety or recovery struggle with. And your low self-esteem can stem from all sorts of different things. Maybe it was something you were told. Let's say that you're overweight and people were making fun of you or calling you fat, whatever, or self-doubt of trying something and failing at it, but you never continued to work at it to improve or get better at it. And because of that, you might have low self-confidence in whatever that area is, or it can be some sort of continuation of negative thoughts. And low self-esteem can cause a lot of anxiety and depression. And with that, it can be a major contributor to addiction because we are seeking something to cope with these feelings that we have. And especially if they're continually just spiraling in our heads and not knowing how to deal with them, we are looking for something to go ahead and drown out those thoughts and feelings. So in this video, I want to go ahead and discuss how we can move away from those thoughts and ultimately low self-esteem. With that, what we really want to do is we want to slowly work towards fixing whatever it is that's causing that low self-esteem. And with that, not needing to rely on a substance because we won't have something that we need to cope with. We won't have that low self-esteem, that low self-confidence, those negative thoughts, those self-doubts that we have. And with that, first things first, I think that you need to go ahead and you need to think about or write down what it is that's causing your low self-esteem, that lack of confidence. And when you go ahead and you write these things down, or if you go ahead and discuss it with a loved one or someone you trust, you might even realize that once you discuss it, that it's really not as bad as you might have thought it was initially, and that you might have had some silly cognitive distortion this whole time. So I really think that an important first step is to really think about it, write it down, potentially talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it to someone that you know, going to some sort of AA group or some sort of support group and discussing it and getting open and honest feedback, I think it can help. Another thing that I think is very important is for you to stop comparing yourself to other people. People online or even people in your lives will portray themselves to be something that they're not. They can portray themselves to be this flawless, make no mistake, have it all figured out individual that says or shows if you're struggling that you're weak, and that's just far from the truth. It's really disingenuous. Everyone has some sort of struggle or doubt throughout their lives. It'll change through time, but there's always something there that we have and we might need to work on. So with that, it's just ultimately recognizing those things and working on them. We're always going to have different challenges in life. So we just need to minimize how they impact our lives, and we will ultimately become much happier self-confident people, when we realize it, we can make a plan of attack and have a goal, a plan, and then take action towards that goal. So whatever your current struggle is, whether it's your weight or your social anxiety or not being a good enough parent, whatever, you can move away from your current place to a better one. You just need to start by setting that goal and putting the plan into place, and then taking action. Taking action is very important, because without that, goal is nothing. And you're not going to build any sort of motivation or confidence until you start taking that action, which will lead to you seeing results towards that goal and motivate you even more to push towards that goal. So for example, like where to start with weight loss. If you haven't been to a gym in years, or maybe even ever, whatever, start small. 20 minutes a few times a week, and it'll slowly build your self-esteem. You will start to see subtle changes. Your clothes will fit differently. You'll notice you look better in pictures weeks or months down the road, and it'll push you to want to continue to move forward. You'll be motivated because you see the results. If you're working towards becoming a better parent, taking time, whatever, a couple times during the week or whatever you have available to devote towards your child or children, to have some form of bonding activity. And for something such as social anxiety, practicing more and more just being in different social situations with people and being open and vulnerable. You'll be amazed when you're open and vulnerable how much easier it is to communicate with people and connect with them on a deeper level when you are open and vulnerable. And that doesn't mean revealing your deepest, darkest secrets to every or anyone, but when the topic of discussion comes up, of some sort of hardship, struggle, and you're open and vulnerable with that person, it just builds that deeper level of connection and a sense of trust that you will get, and also that individual will get back towards you. And if that is too difficult to start out with, finding something that you are interested in and attending it, whether it be some sort of event or activity, because it'll automatically give you a starting ground for a topic of discussion, because you and the people you're having a discussion with will all be interested in whatever that is. This is something that I struggled with tremendously when I was getting sober. It was daunting to me to be able to communicate with people or be out in social situations without alcohol. I didn't think people would think I was smart enough, or that I was funny enough, that people were just constantly looking at me or judging me for my appearance. Whatever it was, I just had some sort of cognitive distortion. And the more and more I worked on what I just previously talked about, the easier it became to go out to social situations and get to a point where I don't even think about having alcohol when I'm out in social situations to kind of calm that anxiety. I'm just able to communicate with people and just recognize that sometimes being out with people or conversation can be awkward or might not go a way that you thought it was going to be. And it's whatever. It's going to happen regardless. So it was very daunting for me in the beginning. The thought of going out into social situations, but the more and more I did it, it just became to the point where it was second nature. Months down the road, I recognized that it was becoming a lot easier for me to go to dinners or to different sporting events where I used to have to drink in order to be involved with something like that. And that, for me, it built self-confidence, because it showed me that if I was willing to work at something, I was ultimately going to be in a better spot. I had a goal, and I set out, I put a plan and took action towards it, and I ultimately was achieving my goal. And on top of the social anxiety, I was working on other areas of my life that I had low self-esteem, and when I was building those up through action and a plan, it's made my social anxiety also diminish because I had more self-confidence in those other areas. So I was more comfortable in my own skin, which made it a lot more easy to be in social situations and not be anxious in those situations. So I think ultimately what it comes down to is you need to recognize these areas that you might have low self-esteem in, and you need to develop a goal. Okay, I'm, like mentioned with weight, I'm 20 pounds overweight. Okay, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then actually implementing it in order to get to that goal. And the more you implement this strategy in your life, the more self-confident you're just going to be in general, and the less self-esteem issues you're going to have, because you're going to recognize that you have implemented this strategy in other areas of your life time and time again, and you have came out on top, successful. So it'll teach you that really any obstacle in your life you can overcome one way or another with a plan. It's starting out that can be difficult, but I promise you it is not nearly as bad as the thought of it. The thought of it can be daunting. Who am I to think that I can accomplish this, or I'm not good enough for this. But just starting to implement the action and seeing the small changes and results over time will debunk all of that, and you will ultimately just become a more happy and self-confident person, and you'll recognize that you don't need a substance to help you deal with low self-esteem, because you'll really have less problems with your self-esteem. Yes, you'll get blows to your ego every once in a while when you try something new, for example, and you might suck at it, but you'll know that with time and practice you'll be able to overcome that, and that's ultimately what it's about. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning into this video. If you like the video, please go ahead and click the like button down below. Please subscribe to my channel, as I will continue to share more pieces of advice through a recovery journey, and leave any questions or comments down below, and I'll be happy to answer. I will see you next video.